to This Week in Baseball Player Profiles as we profile Sunflower Commissioner Casey Walkup. Welcome to the show, sir.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing today?
Good. So, you've been the commissioner of the Sunflower League, what has it been, 5 years?
Going on five.
Going
yeah.
on five,
Yeah,
going on
fifth
five.
year.
How's that going for you so far? How's that been?
It's good, man. It was something that, about 5 years ago right now, I had some area GMs reach out to me, and they were looking to make a little change in what they were doing. And, with my background in baseball, the NBC World Series, once being the commissioner there, or the tournament director rather, they asked me if I would be willing to consider being their commissioner. And it was right after we had our first daughter. She's 6 now, but it was an opportunity for me to get back in baseball, because I've been out of baseball now for 8 years now, and 9 years, I guess, going on my real job. So once I left the NBC, I went to work with my dad doing building maintenance, and that's been about 9 years now. So I was looking for a way to get back in baseball. It allows me to stay with baseball and stay in tune with it, and still have an impact on our community, and hopefully provide an opportunity for kids in our community, as well as kids outside our community, to have a place to play in summer.
Right. Well, I know last year was pretty challenging with COVID and a bunch of leagues shutting down. How did you personally handle that and overcome that challenge so that league could play?
Well, I think honestly it was kind of a wait and see, mentality, but we also, I think, we tried to develop a plan, a realistic plan. I think that's what's stumped a lot of people in this COVID era right now is there's so many people that say, "Oh, let's just do this," but it's not realistic. It's not something that can realistically happen. Last summer, we typically start at the beginning of June, late May, beginning of June, and play through the summer. Well, we looked at the beginning of May, and we kind of got together as a league and said, look, we're still in the middle of this pandemic. Obviously, we had state, county guidelines that were in place, gathering limits that were in place, so on and so forth. And so we made a decision to back it up at 15 days. Right. And obviously, that was the best decision we made, because once we backed that up 15 days, it gave us a little more time to prepare. But once we got that 15, moved it back to June 15th, we were able to play our summer and get through it without too many issues, honestly. Right. We were pretty fortunate. So that's a credit to all of our organizations in our league too, that as they were being very diligent and taking precautions and doing everything they could to mitigate any spread of the virus. So if we have to look at next summer right now, I would say that we're probably looking at a very similar situation. Right. Things in the last few weeks around the Sedgwick County area have been ramping up, and the cases have been on a rise, as well as our surrounding counties. So unfortunately, we're not out of the woods yet, but I think it hopefully by the summer we might have something that looks more like a vaccine that might be able to control the virus, as opposed to it kind of running rampant right now.
Right, and controlling people's lives.
Yeah, exactly.
So with the leagues and your team, do you have any insight on some of these teams? Like, I know like Diamond Dogs are always nationally top ranked. Last year the Monarchs, won the league. What can you talk about some of the teams in the league that you have?
We have a lot of teams with a lot of tradition.
Yes.
You mentioned Derby, you mentioned the Hutch Monarchs, Newton, the Newton Rebels have been around for a long time. Wichita Sluggers, kind of go back to when Coach Mark Standiford was coaching the Wichita Braves, 20 years ago. So there's a lot of history in the league, and when you look at history, you look at the El Dorado Broncos. I mean, they're probably the most historic team in our league, as well as the Derby Twins. So we do have a lot of history in our league, but we also have some new teams that have come on board and developed and done pretty well too. You look at Mulvane Patriots; they were our league champions 4 years ago when we first started. You know, last year Andell didn't play, but Alex Butterfield has done a really good job in the
Yes.
Andell area. And then we look at our team that's kind of the furthest away, but you look at Roger Ward and what he's done in Great Bend. I mean, they've been competitive.
Right.
The last 2 years that they've been in our league, they've been at the top half of our league.
Yeah.
So they do a good job there in Great Bend as well. But you know, this year we're looking at having 10 teams again moving forward, and hopefully all 10 teams can play this year. Last year El Dorado and Andell didn't play due to the coronavirus, but hopefully looking forward to next summer. Everybody is planning to play, and and we're looking to have 10 teams again and compete for an NBC World Series title.
There you go.
You know, you look at the top, and Pat Hahn's done great with the Cheney Diamond Dogs, and Mike Quick's come on board in the last 3 or 4 years, and once they moved to Cheney, and he's done a heck of a job trying to help Pat facilitate that organization. And Mark Blackham and Kim Blackham, they're probably the veterans in our league. I want to say their first year was it 2010 maybe? 2000, right in that 9 or 10 years.
For a while.
So they've been around for 10, 11 years, and in Hutch. They were also, you know, in Park City before that, but Mark and Kim do a great job.
Yes.
Mark helps me a lot in our league, is kind of our vice commissioner, assistant commissioner, whatever. We don't really have a title for him, but he helps a lot with kind of day-to-day decisions that I bounce off of him. But one thing that he's done in Hutch, and one thing that I was happy for them last year, and being our league champion, our regular season champion, was he's developed an organization and a program. They do things right. They treat the players right. They have an awesome facility there in Hutch.
Yep.
You know, I think we can both agree they probably have the most support as far as from community support. So they're kind of our poster child in a way, that if everybody had a model in our league of what they would like to be like, I think everybody would say Hutch, because you know, they've developed good relationships with colleges. They treat their players amazing. They you know, they have no shortage of host families. They feed their players a lot. You know, I know Mark and Kim do laundry every night after games. You know, I mean, those are things that you know, are they necessary? No, but it does make for a good summer experience for a lot of these kids. And you know, I could go on and on. You know, you guys have done a great job with your players, and obviously, you know, your organization started with a high school team, and then we've developed into a college team, and it's been awesome to be able to see some local players that you know, might have played here summer ball in your organization with the Sluggers and 316 Elite, and now they're having the opportunity to play on the college team and with the Sluggers. So it's you know, it's been fun, and to see a lot of these kids that have grown up and played, and now here we are going into, like you said, our 5th season. We got guys like Jackson Glenn, you know, who was a freshman the first year of the Sunflower Collegiate League, and he played for the Cheney Diamond Dogs as a member of, gosh, what was the college he was at? Grayson.
He's at Dallas
And
Baptist.
now he's at Dallas Baptist, but you know, those guys getting an additional year from COVID allowed Jackson to come back and play last year, and so he's a guy that's been here for 4 years, a true ambassador of the Sunflower Collegiate League, as you said. Now plays at Dallas Baptist, and has been one of their, you know, key guys for the last couple of years. But there's a lot of guys that have wanted to come back here and play.
Yes.
So what we've tried to do is provide these kids with an opportunity to get better at baseball, but also become better young men, and be able to come here in the state of Kansas, and in a place where it's been traditionally a summer hotbed. So we're going to continue to try to do things to make our league one of the top ones in the country.
Well, there's one thing I know you don't get enough credit on, and you do a great job fundraising. and doing things. But last year, All-Star game, to me, that was kind of special. I mean, we always do the home run derby, which, Sluggers has won it a couple years in a row.
That's awesome.
But you did something last year before the game that I thought was very heartwarming. Besides just fundraising for us, but you did something for not us, but for the community. And I believe it was for cancer awareness.
Yes.
And you had a couple of young children out there. Is that something that you plan on doing further in the All-Star games?
We do. It was something that the Wichita Wingnuts have done some stuff with Gold Glove charities, and the Gold Glove charities is something that has been put together by a gentleman in Kansas City, and what he tries to do is it's kind of a Make-A-Wish type foundation, but he does it in partnership with baseball organizations. And last spring, I noticed that they were not going to be able to do a lot of their minor league stuff that they had been doing in the past. So I reached out to him and asked if there was any opportunity for our All-Star game, since we were going to be playing it a little bit later in the summer. Typically, our All-Star game was played around 4th of July holiday.
Right.
Last year, we moved it back to try to give us a little more time, one, to choose our All-Stars, but two, to try to get COVID out of here. Well, obviously, here we are, 7 months later, and it's still here, so that didn't help in that regard, but we were able to play it. And, what they typically do is Gold Glove Charities will partner with the league or the team, and they will create jerseys. And these jerseys are auctioned off at the end of the day to support childhood cancer. And we've had, we were able to develop an awesome relationship last year and try to, look forward to doing that some more.
Good.
I mean, last year I think we had 3 or 4 kids from the community that were able to join us on the field. A very special, tear-jerking, heartwarming instance where they call a home run for life, and majority of the kids that were there have conquered the cancer. There was one young lady, Jessica Kilpatrick, that has been battling, and now I think it's her second go around with battling a pediatric brain cancer. And update on her lately, she's been doing very well. I think she's at Campus High School now, but I think she's been doing well in her treatments, and things have been in remission. But what we did was a home run for life, and they were able to, these kids ran around the bases, and it's kind of their home run for conquering cancer. And Jessica, if you remember right, was very weak because she's in the middle of treatments. But her immune system wasn't compromised, so obviously she was able to come out there, and she couldn't run, unfortunately, but she still wanted to do the home run for life, and she took off walking around the bases, and 90 feet, 90 feet, 90 feet, 90 feet. That's a long ways to walk, and she got about to first base and started going to second base, and it was awesome because you could see the humility in our players. We had, 28 kids on each team, and both teams took off and they supported her and walked with her around the bases.
And that wasn't something that was planned.
It
was
wasn't.
just them
It wasn't.
doing that.
Yes, it was, and it was very heartwarming, very tear jerking. It was awesome. It really was, and that was something that honestly, we've had teams finish in the top 5, and the last 2 years we finished second in the World Series. But that was one of the moments that I was most proud of, is seeing that happen last year with Jessica, and letting her experience the camaraderie and the support from our teams. And fortunately, after that event, we were able to do a fundraiser on our Facebook page, and I believe we raised between $600 and $800 that we were able to provide her family to assist with her treatments on behalf of the Sunflower Collegiate League. So, long answer to your question, but yes, definitely we do plan to do that in the future.
Good.
Moving forward, we hope that we can get representatives from our communities that our teams play in to be able to honor those people with and develop a more of a relationship with some of these kids that are battling this just hideous disease that affects so many of us and so many people in our community.
Well, I can tell you, I really appreciated it that night. I thought it was a great thing that you did, and like I said, you don't get enough credit for it. So
Well, thank you.
I
I appreciate that.
Moving forward, do you see, what's your vision for this league? Like, I'm thinking maybe we do, because there's other leagues, we play them in all-star games, or maybe we intertwine and try to have a North and South division. What do you think could happen with this?
Well, I think, a couple years ago we did have two different divisions. We had an East and a West, and right now with the pandemic and everything, and even the structure of college baseball right now. I mean, there's so much talk of moving everything back, and honestly, I mean, here we are, 3 months away from typically the start of the college baseball season.
Right.
You think about, I mean, usually start in February, and we're in November, so 3 months away, and we still haven't heard when they're starting college baseball. So, I've heard a lot of things about maybe them backing it up to March or April to start, and obviously that would cut into our time frame. So it's hard to look at expansion right now, but my goal is to we talked as a league this fall, and hopefully we're working towards getting all of our leagues or all of our teams in our league nonprofit. And what that would allow us to do is apply for membership to the National Collegiate Summer Baseball Alliance, and that's an alliance that is sponsored and funded in part by Major League Baseball. But the key is all of the teams and the league has to be nonprofit. So that's an opportunity for us, and as a league and our board that's made up of all of our GMs and coaches, everybody thought that would be a great thing for us to look forward to, or look into. So that's something that we're going to look into. When we look at the All-Star game, and I've went back and forth in my brain about that, because yes, it would be awesome to showcase our talent against other leagues, but I feel like we have separated ourselves in this area, in this part of the country, as the best summer collegiate league in the Midwest.
Right.
And with that being said, we've provided a facility in X Stadium in Tyler Field for these kids to play in on Tuesday nights, and 3 to 4 times a summer these kids get an opportunity to play there, and we've done that for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's not another league in this region that gets to play at a facility like that.
True.
So what we've done is I feel like we've raised the bar not only on ourselves but for everybody else. So I really find it hard to want to bring in somebody else to potentially take away from exposure that some of our players might receive. I feel like we've marketed, we've developed a name for our league, and so I kind of want to keep it in-house. I mean, and that, that might be selfish, but I think, like we said, we had about 26 players from on each team for our All-Star game this last year, and so there's 52 players. Well, if we brought another league in, that's only 26 of our players that are getting able to, or that are able to play.
Right.
2 years ago, as you'll recall, and that was planned for this year, we were on cable television across the state of Kansas.
Right.
Those are things that I've worked really hard, and we've worked really hard to develop and brand and promote the Sunflower Collegiate League. And I want to continue to promote our players and provide them as much exposure as we possibly can. So hopefully moving forward, we'll get back on the TV bandwagon and be able to do that again. But so yes, it has crossed my mind. Last year, even there was even some talk about taking an doing our All-Star team local, or our All-Star game locally. but potentially taking a team to Texas and playing where the Cleburne Railroaders play, and you know, and trying to find a league from down in Texas that we could compete against. So, there's a lot of opportunities there that you know, for expansion. I just don't know that right now is the right time to look into it. So, but again, a long answer to a question.
That's all right.
There are a lot of opportunities out
Some
there,
opportunities.
and that does kind of give you a look into, you know, why don't we look at other teams or other leagues and teams to play against? And honestly, the answer is pretty simple: is I want to promote our players, and I want to promote as many of our players as we possibly can, and also I don't know that any other leagues would work as hard to promote a game or an event like that as we do.
Right.
So,
well, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes that people don't know about. Moving on to the NBC topic. Where do you think we should be able to host the World Series at? I have my opinion. Where do you think we should be able to do it at?
I definitely think that the new stadium would have been a great place to play it this year. You know, I truly believe that the organization, the professional organization down there, didn't want the NBC World Series to break in the new stadium, and that's why it wasn't played there. But fortunately, I guess the benefactor of that was Hutchinson, one of our communities, was able to host part of the NBC World Series again for the first time, and shoot, it's probably been over 20, 30 years. So, and it was very successful there. So, you know, there was good and bad, but definitely playing at the new Riverfront Stadium would be awesome, and I think that's where the NBC World Series needs to be played. But with that being said, there's going to have to be some changes to a format. Last year it was 1 week, a 1 week tournament. I personally liked it. I feel like over the past several years, including when I was a tournament director, you know, the field was getting watered down. There wasn't as much good baseball. There isn't as much good talent that's affiliated with the NBC nowadays, with so many other options being out there. But I do feel like the competitiveness last year, even though, you know, the Seattle Studs were not able to be here, I feel like the competition with those teams was pretty solid.
Yep.
And there weren't a lot of meaningless games like there have been in years past with pool play. I know there are teams that want to know they're getting 3 to 4 games, but I guess maybe I'm a traditionalist, I don't know, but to me a double elimination tournament's how you want to decide a national championship.
You're good enough to be here.
Yeah, so, and it's easy for us to say. I mean, I do look at it from another perspective, being in the tournament director chair for 4 years, because I know that our perspective here locally is a lot different than you know, what it is in California, because there's a lot more money that has to be spent than we have to spend.
Correct.
You know, hopefully moving forward, they'll come up with a solid plan to be able to work with the new arena or new stadium downtown, and you know, maybe potentially work with Wichita State and/or Hutch to continue, you know, 2 sites and to continue to be able to play it all in 1 week. I think that helps the fan base too in the Wichita area.
Well, like you said, we've come in second the last couple of years in the NBC. Think we can do it this year? You think someone could pull it off?
Man, you know, this year was a good opportunity, I think. But you know, Santa Barbara had their pick of the litter, man.
They were loaded.
They had a team that's probably the best team that Bill Pintar's ever brought to the NBC World Series. Not to say that Cheney didn't have a shot of beating them, but you know, honestly, you mentioned that. I think last year was our opportunity, not not in 2020, but in 2019, I think was our opportunity. But I think what really eliminated that from happening was we had five or six teams in the World Series.
Yep.
out of a 10-team league. And when you take 5 or 6 teams out of a 10-team league, typically, 2, maybe 3 teams would go, and they can, in the NBC you can add 5 players. So, but when you take 5 or 6 teams from one league, it doesn't provide many opportunity to add players.
Right.
And we had, there were a lot of good players that could have helped Cheney against the Seattle Studs that
Yep.
year, and they weren't able to add much to their roster just because everybody was still playing. So that's why you'll hear me say a lot of times that I don't want 5 or 6 teams in. I want 2, maybe 3
Right.
in each year to still allow some of our teams to pick up some players and make a run at the NBC World Series championship.
Good idea. Do you have one memory of NBC that sticks out the most? Any player, anything, because you've seen it so much?
Oh man. I think probably for me, there's a few things. I remember watching the Standiford and the Sluggers teams, the alumni team when he and Phil Stevenson,
There you go.
Mark Potter,
Yep.
a lot of those guys were playing. But personally, I want to say that it was probably the 2005 Park City Cowboys team that I coached and managed, putting that team together kind of on a last minute and just basically scraping up guys from around the area that didn't have a place to play and being able to go in and add a few players once we got NBC time and finish in the top 5 in 2005, and we were 13 and 15 or 15 and 17, something like that, going into the World Series, and ended up knocking off Fairbanks, Alaska, and Nevada Griffins, and lost to Prairie Gravel in extra innings, and they were the team that went on to win it. But honestly, we kind of had an underdog run there that was very memorable, and I guess if you want to look at one specific moment, we were in the 9th inning, I want to say, against Prairie Gravel, and it was a feature game at Lawrence Dumont, and I was in the third base coaching box, and my dad Phil was my assistant coach, and he was in the first base. I was in the third base box, he was in the first base box, and situation, I think we were tied, something, but it was a very tense situation. He walks down to the batter's box and looks at me, and he's trying to tell me something, and I'm standing in the third base coach's box, and it was a timeout, I think maybe a pitching change or something. But literally, and I kid you not, Lawrence Dumont Stadium was so loud, and it hasn't been like that for much since then, but it was so loud that I couldn't hear what he was saying, what he was trying to say to me. I mean, we had developed a following with the Park City Cowboys that Terry Elliott was playing with, the Shane Dennis, Steve Linhart, Matt Brown, John Schermerhorn, Eric
Some names.
Schermerhorn. I mean, those were guys that were on our team with a lot of locals like A.J. Lloyd and, just a lot of guys that were from around here. Brent Biggs at Barton was on that team. So we had a lot of local flavor that was on that team, but I hadn't heard Lawrence Dumont Stadium like that since the '98 El Dorado Broncos national championship game, and that was 7 years later in 2005.
Right.
That was probably the loudest I'd ever heard Lawrence Dumont since then, and that would probably be my most memorable time at the NBC World Series.
That's cool. So, like I said, you do a lot for the league. You raise a lot of money. Do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. What is something outside of the league, like a hobby or something that Casey has? You got time for those?
It's my girls, man. I mean, I have two daughters, 3 and 6. I got started late, but, you know, have an awesome wife who was, I thought that I was a pretty good athlete, and she's definitely 9 times the athlete I ever was, being a 2-time Valley Player of the Year and being an all-conference and all-American volleyball player at Wichita State. So I'm very fortunate and blessed to have an awesome wife like her, but you know, she's blessed me with 2 daughters, and honestly, when growing up, thinking about kids, you know, I always thought I was gonna have boys, and you know, the Lord didn't bless me with 2 boys; He blessed me with 2 girls, but I wouldn't change it for the world. They've made me a better man. They've made me a better husband, and you know, I would do anything in the world for those girls, and you know, now they're getting old enough to where I can start helping out with them with basketball and softball and whatnot.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that I love the girls, love hanging out with my girls. You know, still watching sports, playing golf is fun. I've married into a farm family, so we harvest and farm wheat and soybeans and stuff like that too. So I get to stay busy, but
That sounds like it.
But definitely the one hobby would
Right.
definitely be my girls and being able to spend time with them.
So, getting to the fun stuff. You have a favorite restaurant you want to
Oh man,
support here?
favorite restaurant. Listen, I love to eat. I have too many favorite restaurants, but I guess Sumo's probably one of my hibachi grills. Sumo and Kobe both. I love those. I would also probably have to put Texas Roadhouse in the mix there. When it comes to fast food, Chick-fil-A, but In-N-Out.
Yeah.
I'm an In-N-Out
Right.
aholic. Unfortunately, we don't have one.
Right.
But it's 5 hours away in Dallas. But fast food would definitely be In-N-Out. But I love Mexican. I mean, I guess a shout out to my 2 local favorites would be Cholitas and Villar's El Mexico
Mhm.
Cafe. Those would probably be
Good.
my two local favorites.
You have a favorite Major League Baseball team?
New York Yankees.
New York Yankees. Why is that?
It's my dad.
Okay.
My dad was born in '52. Grew up watching Murderers Row, and was always a Mickey Mantle fan, and so you know, growing up here in the '70s and the '80s. I guess in the '80s we had the Royals. You know, they were good for 1
Mhm.
year. You know, but my dad was always a Yankees fan, so you know, we didn't have ESPN and all that. And honestly, there's a lot of guys that are our age that were Braves and Cubs fans because that was what was on TV. Obviously, you're a Braves guy,
Huge Braves fan.
and that's probably why. I mean, because you were able to watch
On
it,
TBS.
watch them on TBS. So I guess I didn't really have an opportunity to root for the Royals as much as maybe, you know, people might have, being closer into a market. But yeah, Don Mattingly was my guy growing up. I wore 23 growing up. Obviously, that kind of proves that I was with them in the lean times because they didn't do much when he was there.
Right.
As far as a championship standpoint, but and then Derek Jeter. I mean, he's a guy that I admire. He was kind of he broke into the major leagues
He
right.
kind of
when I was-
epitomizes baseball.
He
what
does.
Baseball really is all about.
He does.
In my opinion.
And he broke into major leagues right when I was getting into senior year of high school into college, and was able to watch his career. And you know, he respects the game. He played it the right way. He was in the biggest market in sports
And handled it.
and
His
or
whole
the world,
career.
you know, and handled it his whole career. you know, there's, honestly, and my dad and I talked about this, he reminds me, or Patrick Mahomes reminds me a lot of him. Just the way they go about the business. Patrick's a little more, I think,
Eccentric.
I wouldn't say he's eccentric. I think he's just a little more happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
But he does the right things, and you know, he's been a young guy that's been thrown into a situation where now he's probably the face of the NFL.
Yep.
And you know, when you have Boston Red Sox fans that respect and can't say a bad thing about Derek Jeter, you know that he did it the right way.
Yes, sir. Well, I do appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you, man.
And
It's been
visiting
fun.
and spending some time. I do appreciate that, and bringing some life on the area and baseball. I do appreciate that.
It's been fun.
Thank you. That concludes this week in Baseball Player Profiles with Casey Walkup, Commissioner of Sunflower Collegiate League. Thank you. We'll see you guys next week.